This is part 4 of chapter number 10, which is aggregate demand. And in this particular part, we're going to derive the LM curve, which is the liquidity and money curve. Now, I told you earlier on that the LM curve is derived from the theory of liquidity preferences. Now, this theory was put forward by Keynes. He was a very popular economist. And what this theory states that interest rate is determined by money supply and money demand. ठीक है, the simple theory which states कि जो interest rate है, it's determined where money supply equals the money demand. So this can be represented as follows. What you see on the slide is a representation of the money supply curve. So if you want to plot the supply, we take the real money balance on the x-axis and we take interest rate on the y-axis. Just as a quick revision, M is basically your nominal money balance. So let's suppose the money supply in the economy is $200 billion. So that is your nominal money supply. When you divide it by P, that gives you the real money supply. Okay, so N divided by P is actually the goods and services that you can buy with that nominal money. So we take nominal money on the x-axis, a real interest rate on the y-axis. The supply for real money balance is fixed. We assume that M is fixed. So M is going to be determined by the central bank, and that is exogenously determined. Price is also assumed to be fixed. Why? Because remember, ISLM curve, it helps explain the economy in the short run. And in the short run, we assume that prices are taken to be fixed. So money supply to bada clear hai कि it's going to be fixed. Money demand is going to be downward sloping. Okay, so the real money demand is represented by this function here. So quantity theory से भी हमने यही relationship derive किया था कि आपका जो real money demand है or the amount of money that you want to hold at a particular point in time, it's a function of R. R is your interest rate. Now, R और money demand के बीच में negative relationship है, hence this negatively sloping at money demand curve. Why do we have a negative relationship? I explained to you earlier on कि जब interest rate increase होता है, that means that this is basically, so interest rate, you can think of this as the opportunity cost of holding money. अगर interest bearing account में जो आपको return मिल रहा है या जो interest मिल रहा है, that's if it's very high, you would prefer कि पैसा जो है आपका वो उन accounts में पड़ा रहे. So as a result, the demand for money is going to decline. Okay, so you don't want to waste this opportunity of not earning interest on your money. So आपका दिल चाहेगा कि जितना हो सके वो पैसा जो है उन accounts में पड़ा रहे, so you can earn interest on it. So hence money demand is going to reduce as a result. So जो money demand function आपके जो money demand curve आपको नजर आ रहा है ना, that is going to be this downward sloping curve. So when interest rate increases, you would like to hold less money because now the opportunity cost of holding money is more. So equilibrium in the money market is established where the real money supply is equal to the real money demand. Okay? The equilibrium is established where the two curves are going to intersect one another. So you can see that the point of intersection occurs at this point. Okay? इसको मैं equilibrium इसलिए कह रही हूँ कि जितनी supply है उतनी ही demand है of money. So R1 is your equilibrium interest rate. Now any interest rate higher than R1, okay? Let's consider this interest rate which is R2 here. I cannot say that this is the equilibrium interest rate. The reason being that at R2 you can see that the supply is more than the demand. ठीक है? So आप इसको इस तरह visualize कर सकते हैं कि बैंक में there's a lot of money which is lying in the bank. There's a lot of supply of money, लेकिन उसकी demand नहीं है. ठीक है? So how do we generate the demand? The way you're going to do it is by reducing the interest rate. ठीक है, देखो at this point we have surplus money supply. So whenever there is a surplus, there is a downward pressure on prices. So in this case, the price of holding money is actually interest rate. So interest rate is going to decline and the process continues until we reach R1. Similarly, any interest rate below R1 cannot be taken as equilibrium because at an interest rate lower than R1 आप देख सकते हैं there's going to be an excess demand for money. ठीक है, money supply कम है, उसके पीछे लाखों लोग भाग रहे हैं. So what will happen to the interest rate or the price of money? The interest rate will increase and the process will continue until we reach back at R1. Okay, so that is how you determine equilibrium in the money market. Now coming to the derivation of the LM curve. So let's put Y back in the money demand function. If you remember, money demand not only depends upon interest rate, it also depends upon Y. And I've just told you that R और money demand का जो relationship है वो negative है. And when Y increases, ठीक है, so when your income increases, you would like to buy more goods and services. For that, you're going to demand more money. Hence, a positive relationship between Y and money demand. तो इस equation से आप बहुत clearly देख सकते हैं कि LM curve which shows the combination of R and Y that equates supply and demand of real money balance. Okay, so LM curve जो है ना, so the equation for the LM curve is as follows. So we are saying that the LM curve represents money market equilibrium. So जितने points LM curve पे lie करेंगे, यानी LM curve अगर आपको याद हो, it contains the combination or it carries the relationship between R and Y. So जो भी points LM curve पे होंगे, they should satisfy the money market equilibrium. So we are saying that in the money market equilibrium, this equilibrium is established where the supply for money, okay? So left hand side, this is actually the money supply. We are assuming that M is constant and prices are constant in the short run. So this money supply is equal to his money demand, okay? So मैंने money demand की बजाय ये function यहाँ insert कर दिया है. तो आप इस equation से बहुत clearly देख सकते हैं कि left hand side तो fixed है. अगर R increases, that would imply a decrease in money demand. So in order to restore equilibrium, what should happen to Y? Y should also increase. Okay, so that basically gives me a positive relationship between R and Y. Okay, let me just explain this again. देखिए जब R increase करता है, तो what will happen to the money demand? अभी मैंने कहा कि R और money demand के बीच में negative relationship है, तो money demand decreases. So as a result, the left hand side of the equation is going to be now greater than the right hand side of the equation. Okay. So restore किस तरह किया जाए equilibrium? The only option for you to restore equilibrium is by changing Y. So आप Y के साथ क्या करें कि money demand वापस अपने original level पे आ जाए? So what you're going to do is, the only option for you to do is to increase Y. Okay, so just let me just summarize. देखिए R के increase होने से money demand कम होगा. मैंने उसको वापस उसके original level पे लेके आना है. किस तरह लेके आऊंगी? By increasing Y. So this basically proves के LM curve जो है ना, it will be upward sloping because there exists a positive relationship between R and Y. ये चीज आप diagrammatically भी देख सकते हैं in this slide. So here we are deriving the LM curve. So let's suppose this is the original money, the real money supply, ये जो vertical line आपको नजर आ रही है, and this is the original money demand. ठीक है, ये वाला curve L. So here interest is taken to be R1 and output is taken to be Y1. तो ये जो point है ना, this is at this point your money market is in equilibrium. So this point here can be traced on the second panel where I'm plotting the LM curve. Remember, LM shows the relationship between R and Y. So ये जो point है ना, this point है, this tells me कि when interest rate is R1, Y should equal Y1 in order for the money market to be in equilibrium. तो ये जो point है ना A है, this translates to point A on this second panel. So this is going to be 1 point on the LM curve. Now let's suppose that Y increases. ठीक है, जब Y increases to Y2, money demand is going to increase. So this is the new money demand curve. So in order to restore the equilibrium, what should happen to R? देखिए money supply तो same है ना, अब मैं कह रही हूँ Y के increase होने से money demand increase हो गया है. So in order to restore equilibrium, R will have to increase. जब R increase करेगा, तो again money demand will now equal the money supply. So this is the new equilibrium. ठीक है, I'll call this point B. So you can trace this point on the second panel कि जब interest rate increases to R2, या जो ऐसे भी कह सकते हैं, अगर Y increases to Y2, the interest rate will increase to R2. So this is going to be the second point on the LM curve. Joining all these points together will give you the LM curve. आप देख सकते हैं कि LM curve traces out to be upward sloping. यहाँ मैंने खाली 2 points प्लॉट किए हैं. इसी तरह आप you can further argue कि अगर Y further increases to Y3, आप देखेंगे interest rate will further increases to R3 in order to restore equilibrium. So which again is going to reinforce कि LM curve हमेशा upward sloping होगा. Okay. So that basically completes the derivation of the LM curve. This has also been explained in the next slide. Why is the LM curve upward sloping? An increase in increase in income raises the money demand. ठीक है, मैं एक दफा दोबारा आपको ये कर देती हूँ. देखिए, let's suppose on the left hand side I have the money supply. Okay, I'm saying that in equilibrium this should equal the money demand. Okay, so I know that money supply is fixed, right? And money demand is taken to be a function of R and Y. Okay, अब हो क्या रहा है कि let's suppose there is an increase in income which raises the money demand. So what you're assuming here is कि ये जो Y है, let me use this pencil here. So let's suppose that this Y increases for whatever reason. देखो, अगर Y increase करेगा, तो what will happen to the right hand side of the equation? The money demand is going to increase as a result. So अब क्या होगा कि देखिए, now the money demand is more than the money supply. तो मैं equilibrium को किस तरह restore करूं? For this I will have to increase R. So when I increase R, what happens is money demand decreases. ठीक है, so it decreases so that again money supply equals the money demand. इसको एक दफा दोबारा पढ़ भी लें. An increase in income raises money demand. Since supply is fixed, ठीक है, since the left hand side is fixed, there is now excess demand of money at the initial interest rate. So this is going to put a pressure on interest rates to increase. So the interest rate must rise to restore equilibrium in the money market. So that is why we have an upward sloping LM curve. Before we move on to shifts in the LM curve, आप एक चीज notice करें कि जितने भी points हैं on the LM curve, they are actually indicating to me the combination of R and Y where my money market is in equilibrium. देखो, A पे money supply equals the money demand, so money market is in equilibrium. Point B पे again demand equals supply, तो यही point मैंने इधर translate किया है. So this is the second point of the LM curve. So in short, I can say कि जितने भी points on the LM curve है, my money market is in equilibrium. अगर आपको IS curve याद हो, उसकी जब derivation हमने की थी, मैंने कहा था जितने points है on the IS curve, they show you the combination of R and Y, where the goods and services market is in equilibrium. So IS curve tells me what's happening in the goods market. LM curve tells me what's happening in the money market. Achha. Now move on to, let's look at the factors which can shift the LM curve. Okay, so एक factor जो हमने यहाँ identify किया है, that is the change in money supply. So let's just follow through what's happening in these two panels A and B. Initial interest rate is, let's suppose, R1, and the initial money supply is M1 divided by P. Okay, so my initial equilibrium occurs at this point. So what I'm saying, this point corresponds to this point here on the LM curve. मैं कह रही हूँ कि जब interest rate R1 है, तो output level is equal to is Y1. Now let's suppose there's a decrease in money supply. Okay, so when money supply decreases to M2, what happens is the real money supply is going to fall. ठीक है, numerator term अब छोटा हो गया है, so this entire term is going to decrease. So you can see that the real money supply, it decreases. So in order to restore equilibrium, R must rise. Okay, so you can see that at R1 अब क्या होगा कि real money supply कम है, demand ज़्यादा है. ठीक है, supply of money कम है, उसकी demand ज़्यादा है. So what will happen to the interest rate? This will put an upward pressure on the interest rate, and the process continues until we reach R2. So how does this translate? How does this transition translate into the changes in panel B? आप देख सकते हैं at the same Y, at the same Y1, R1 interest rate अब पहले के मुकाबले में ज़्यादा है. मैंने देखे यहाँ y को नहीं छेड़ा, पहले भी y is equal to is y1, अब भी y1 है. Change यहाँ क्या हुआ? Money supply changed. So because of decrease in money supply, you can see that at the same y1, interest rate is going to be higher. Since this is going to be true for all values of y, this will translate into an upward shift in the LM curve. So as a rule of thumb, remember, अगर money supply कम होगी, तो LM curve is going to shift upwards. When money supply is going to increase, you can work out in that case LM curve is going to shift downwards. ठीक है? अगर LM curve, okay, अगर let's suppose money supply increase होती, तो फिर क्या होता? Now in that case, my real money balance would have shifted here. This is the new money balance. Now you can work out from this diagram कि नया equilibrium अब इधर establish होगा at a lower interest rate, which is R3. ठीक है, so I can call this R3. So how would this translate into panel B? अब हो क्या रहा है? At the same Y1, interest rate has actually decreased to R3. So as a result, my entire LM curve is going to shift inward. It's going to shift outward. Okay. So as a rule of thumb, remember, when money supply decreases, LM curve ऊपर की तरफ shift करेगा. When money supply decreases, LM curve नीचे की तरफ shift करेगा. और भी बहुत से factors हैं which can result in shift in the LM curve. Now there's one exercise for you people which we can do together. Suppose there is a wave of credit card fraud which causes consumers to use cash more frequently in transactions. So use the liquidity preference model or the model for demand and supply to show how these events shifts the LM curve. Okay. अब हो ये रहा है कि there's a wave of credit card fraud which is making people hesitant about using this as mode of transaction. So what they prefer is that they're going to conduct transactions in cash rather than using credit cards or debit cards. So as a result, what will happen? Okay, I'll make use of, let's start off from here, from this slide. मैं कह रही हूँ कि because of credit card fraud, what will happen to the money demand? Okay, let me just rub this. वैसे जो आप सामने देख रहे हैं मोरलेस वही चीज होगी यहाँ भी. Let's suppose this is your initial equilibrium. जब shifts के questions हो ना तो आप initial equilibrium बना लिया करें. So initial equilibrium happens at point A. Now let's suppose, so at this initial equilibrium, interest rate is R1 and output is, let's suppose, Y2. So this point A corresponds to this point A on the LM curve. Now let's suppose that because of credit card fraud, people would like to hold more onto money. So as a result, the money demand curve is going to shift outwards. Okay? So money demand is going to increase. ठीक है. So इस example में जो चीज होगी ना, इधर output is still Y1, output is not changing. I'm saying that money demand is changing because of factor other than R and Y. So there's a credit card fraud, a massive fraud, जिसकी वजह से people are hesitant about using online banking or credit cards, so they would like to make more and more transactions using cash. As a result, you want to demand, you want to hold on to more money, the entire money demand function is going to shift up. अच्छा, now as a result आप देख सकते हैं कि interest rate increases to R2 now. So how will I translate this point onto panel B? आप देख सकते हैं at the same Y1, interest rate increases to R2. Since this is going to be true for all values of Y, this is going to translate into an upward shift in the LM curve. Okay, so if the basic model is clear to you, you should be able to work out with respect to different scenarios के LM curve को क्या होगा. अगर R की वजह से Y तब्दील हो रहा है ना, that will be depicted by movement along the LM curve. But if there is any other factor which results in money, money market equilibrium to change, that would result in shift in the LM curve. ठीक है, तो दो मैंने factors आपको identify कर दिए हैं which result in shift in the LM curve. One is when money supply कम या ज़्यादा होता है, and second is when there's a credit card fraud. इसके अलावा भी बहुत से factors हो सकते हैं. Now, the final thing. We have individually developed the LM and the IS curve. Up, I'm going to put the two together, and that is going to complete the picture. So short-run equilibrium is combination of R and Y that simultaneously, now this is an important word here, that simultaneously satisfies equilibrium condition in goods and money market. मैंने फिर से as a quick revision, IS curve, it shows what's happening in the goods market. The relationship or the equation of the IS curve is as follows. Remember, IS curve tells me, or it represents where the supply for goods and services equals to the demand for goods and services. So the left-hand side is the supply for goods and services, the right-hand side is the demand for goods and services. So IS curve contains all the combinations of R and Y which satisfy the goods market equilibrium. Whereas money market में क्या हो रहा है कि in the money market equilibrium is established where the supply for goods and where the supply for money is equal to is the demand for money. So the money market or the LM curve contains all the combinations of R and Y which will satisfy the money market equilibrium. So in other words, IS curve जो है हमने derive किया था, it's always negative sloping. So IS curve contains all the combinations of R and Y where your money market is in equilibrium. Similarly, the LM curve contains all the combinations of R and Y where जो शायद मैंने गलत बोल दिया है. So IS curve contains all the combinations of R and Y where goods market is in equilibrium, whereas LM curve contains all the combinations of R and Y where money market is in equilibrium. तो वो कौन सा combination है of R and Y जहां दोनों markets simultaneously equilibrium में होंगे? That point is right over here where the IS curve cuts the LM curve. देखिए, this is going to give you a combination of R and Y which will ensure कि दोनों गुड्स और मनी मार्केट इक्विलिब्रियम में है. Okay? So this is the short-term equilibrium. This is the combination of R and Y which will ensure कि दोनों मार्केट्स इक्विलिब्रियम में है. ठीक है. So as just as a quick revision, IS curve downward sloping क्यों है? मुझे पता है कि when R increases, investment decreases, so as a result Y will decrease. So final result क्या हुआ कि R के बढ़ने से Y कम होगा, hence negatively sloping IS curve. LM curve positively sloping क्यों है? When R increases, money demand is going to decrease. So देखिए left hand side तो वैसे ही constant है, मुझे कुछ right hand side पे ऐसे ही करना है to restore equilibrium. So the way I can restore equilibrium is by increasing Y here. तो जब मैं Y को इंक्रीज करती हूँ ना, मनी डिमांड दोबारा इंक्रीज कर जाएगा. सो एज ए रिजल्ट आप देख सकते हैं कि R और Y के बीच में पॉजिटिव रिलेशनशिप है. ओके, नाउ दिस इज द फाइनल स्लाइड. मैंने आपको कहा था कि चैप्टर नंबर 9 में हमने ये पार्ट एस्टैब्लिश कर दिया था. वी स्टार्टेड अबाउट द aggregate demand and aggregate supply model. In this particular chapter, we have developed the IS and the LM model. Okay, so IS model हमने derive किया था Keynesian cross से, LM model हमने derive किया था liquidity theory of liquidity preference, which basically says कि in the money market equilibrium is established where money demand equals the real money, where the real money supply equals the real money demand. जो IS, LM और aggregate demand के बीच में connection है, that is left and which is going to be studied in the next chapter. So with this, I'm going to end this chapter.